What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Dual Senses, a PlayStation podcast where we give you our 2 cents on everything PlayStation. I am your host, Alex Wolf, joined here with the one, the only, the midget one, the midget guy, the small person,
Jesus,
Steven
that's a lot
Laro.
of that's a lot
There's
of
a,
things.
you never realize how many things there are to say about someone short until you just like rattle them off. Like, holy hell! Like, out of any like descriptive thing out there, even like against like tall people. The short people have, I feel like, the most expansive list.
We are a very special breed.
I could be totally wrong in this. I'm totally talking out of my ass, but we're gonna go with it. I mean, why not? Own it. Own your titles.
I mean, I own it. I own it. I added. That's why Midget Guy is my PSN name.
See, there you go. See, it works out.
All right, we've already got some people in the chat. Hello.
Hello.
For audio listeners, this is recorded live on Twitch. If you ever want to tune in live, you can go to twitch.tv/morethanfriends. We are going to have some audience participation, I suppose. So whenever we reference anyone in the chat, that's where it is. But also, hello, Alex. How have you been?
Not too bad. An eventful week, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, really eventful. So, like, I don't know if I told you, but Monday night we bought a car.
Oh, yeah. You were telling me that you were about to, so it happened.
Yeah, it happened. It very much happened that night. So
Well,
that was cool.
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm happy with it. I'm
Yeah.
excited. Rachel won't let me drive.
She just isn't allowing you to.
I mean, so for the most part. So I mean, I'm trying to keep this car kind of well. Thank you, Demi, the Drac Queen. I'm trying to keep the car in pristine, leave it alone, not drive unless I need to. And the only places I really go during the week are work. So I drive to work and I come home. So I'm driving the old Mazda and just letting it do its thing. I don't need anything crazy. But then if we have any small trips, like whether it's to her dad's, the grocery store, anytime it's all three of us going, she immediately assumes she's one driving the car, and then she sits in the driver's side while I put the baby in said car, and then I cannot, I can't physically just yank her out of the car. That would be rude. But I'm just sit there in a car and I pout, and she's like, "What is upsetting?" I'm like, "I'm just saying, like busted my ass to sit in this here vehicle. I'm just in the passenger seat." So occasionally, like, she'll get out of the car and I'll just sit in the driver's seat and I'll just sit there and I'll just admire. I'm like, yeah, I did this thing.
I did this.
Yeah, like I did this. This is here.
Well, that's still a big move, getting a new car. That's always exciting.
God, it was stressful. But yes, thank you.
I mean, it is a lot of work, but
God.
I actually I have a weird little update, and I didn't tell you this on the phone earlier because I wanted it to be a sort of surprise.
What you got? What you got? What you got?
It's like it's really dumb, but like really weird.
Okay.
But I just want to say that there are a lot of really amazing people out in the world, and I just love, people with like grandma energy, like people who
Yes.
either are grandmas or like treat anyone as their grandchild.
Okay.
I love them. And
Not
there's
like their
this
child, but like their grandchild.
grandchild. Yes, it has to be
Okay.
grandchild.
Okay.
So there is this woman named Becky who works at a store next to mine at Newport, and she like came over and we were talking and everything, and I got really excited because I was like, "Oh, the Black Friday sale went live on the PlayStation Store." And then she like shared my excitement even though she doesn't give a flying fuck about video games. And
Okay.
I was like going through the games and I'm like, "Oh, Spiritfarer is on sale and Life is Strange is on sale." And she takes her bank card out of her wallet and puts it in front of me and she says, "Go crazy." And I was like, "Becky, you need to calm down. This is not."
Becky with a debit card. She's not fucking around.
Yeah, Becky with a debit card. And I was like, "No, I cannot possibly." And she was like, "Steven, I love you. Um, buy yourself some video games." And I was like, "Becky, I can't." And she was like, "Well, here's what you'll do." She was telling me, and I was arguing with her. I was like, "I am not going to take your money." And she was like, "Here's what you're gonna do. Add all of the games that you want to your cart, and then we'll go through it together and decide what I'm gonna get for you. It'll be your Christmas present." And I was like, "Becky, no." And
Yeah,
she
because
was
you have
like,
a real problem when it comes to like
I
your
don't think
cart
she
will be
understood.
huge.
Yeah, I don't
No.
think she understood. I was like, Becky, there are 2,000 games on sale. I all of them are going to be in my wish list. You do not understand. And she was like, I know how much it means to you. So what happened is all day today at work, I was dwindling down this wish list. And I brought it down to 6 games. And I brought up the trailers on YouTube. And I was like, all right, Becky, if you have to buy me some games, you're going to choose one and you're going to buy it for me. If you will not take no for an answer, we will choose one together. And then she proceeded to buy all of them. Becky spent $112 on me today.
What games?
She got Life is Strange True Colors.
Okay.
She
All
got
right.
Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She got fuck, I can't even. She got a weird game called Lydia.
Okay.
She got Kentucky Route Zero.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that a thing you're
Uh,
I didn't know of how your level of interest in that was, but okay.
I'm like, I really love the art, but
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. It's
That's
one
where
of
I'm
those
at with
things.
it. Yeah.
But the reviews have always been great. But basically, I ended up with 6 games because Becky would not take no for an answer. And then after she does this, she gets me 2 beers and pretzels and beer cheese
Is Becky
from Woody
dying?
Pass. That's what I'm wondering.
Is she
Oh, also
okay?
Spirit Fair. Speaking of dying, she got Spirit Fair for me as well.
She
But
must be
yeah,
dying.
that's what I'm wondering. I'm like,
Hopefully
Jesus
not,
Christ,
but
Becky. So I'm sitting there trying to close the store, and I'm like trying to keep myself from crying because Becky is just such a kind woman. So I just want to dedicate this stream to Becky. She's not watching because she's probably in bed. It's past her bedtime.
and she probably doesn't know what a Twitch stream is the way you described her.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to dedicate this to Becky. What a phenomenal woman. She had no right being so fucking kind.
Tell you what, she really reclaimed the name Becky because Becky does not like that's right up
Yeah,
there with Karen.
yeah.
So good for
It's like
her.
right below Karen, but
Hmm.
she completely wiped it off of the shit list, and now it's on like the angel list. So yeah, everybody in the chat is praising Becky, and
Can we get
Becky,
Becky's
if you
name? Can we get a picture of like her, just her face on a
on
T-shirt? And I want it
that,
to say, "We stand Becky."
and I fully support this, and I think she would too. I think we should
And then,
surprise her.
and on the back, around across the shoulders, it needs to say, "No shit, hold on, I lost it." Grandma energy. That's what it was. That was the
Yes, yes,
it needs to say that.
grandma energy.
So wait, hold on. What defines grandma energy? Because I feel like I tell a lot of people they're like my second mom, like your mom, our drama
Yeah,
teacher, really any mother of one of my best friends growing up, very much a second mom. And I feel like because like while they're not my mom and don't necessarily punish me, they treat me like their own. I feel like that is grandma energy. So is that
yeah.
different?
Well, I think maybe age is at play here, but also like I feel like there's a difference between mom energy and grandma energy because mom energy is, like, oh, you need to learn, uh, or like let me take care of you, and then grandma energy is fuck your health, fuck your well-being. We're gonna give you a shit ton of candy, and I'm gonna take you out. It's
All
like
right,
treat yourself kind of
that's fair.
energy, and then once you're all fucked up because of grandma, then they bring you to mom. You know what I mean? Like
Okay,
it's that kind of thing. So
it's like
grandma fucks you
grandma.
up. Grandma's the party.
Yeah,
Mom is the nurse. Like that
mom's the
kind of.
bedtime. Yeah,
Yeah, mom is bedtime.
tucks you in, get you a nice glass of milky.
Real fast, going through the comments. Demi is saying we stand Becky. Hashtag Team Becky. Imagine McNamee is saying OMG, we stand Becky 100%. Demi said also the T-shirt needs to say Becky with the credit card, not the good hair. But that also seems rude. Saying she. This is my first time reading this. Saying she.
So while I don't disagree with Demi, I thought the same. That is a lot to put on a t-shirt. Like, that is the whole damn shirt.
The whole back of the shirt needs to say, also
Like,
the t-shirt
I
needs to
don't know
say,
if that
"Pay me with the
works.
credit card, not the good hair." But that
I
also
don't
seems weird saying she doesn't have good hair. But Beyonce said it, not me. There we go. Imagine McNamee says, "Grandma energy is fuck what mom says. I'm in charge. Then they give you back."
That's fair. Okay, I get behind that. Steven. Steven.
What a start to the show.
It is quite the start. Now, one thing I need to bring up is I
Mhm.
want everyone to know that Stephen Thomas Morrow loves an old crack
Why did you have to do this?
because I told you I'd do it.
You did not tell me that you were gonna do this.
I did not tell you I was going to do this.
You are a liar.
I didn't tell you I wasn't going to do it.
All right, well, if you're gonna do it, you gotta explain it.
I mean, it's not as funny. I feel like we just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that. Steven, it is, what is today? November 19th.
Did you just look
And
at your watch to not have any information on it?
no, it did. I have the calendar on the what have you.
Oh, is it a smartwatch?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I thought you were one of
It's
those assholes who like doesn't even have a watch, and they're like, "What time is it? It's
what
November the
it's a
20th."
freckle fresh to hear, young man. No, so it's November 19th, 2021. The Game Awards, December 9th, 2021. They're
Yes,
approaching
very
shortly.
soon. Very soon.
Voting launched Tuesday. It is out
Yes.
there. You can go now to thegameawards.com and vote for your categories, all the way up from your favorite esports member and coach to Game
Yep.
of the Year. So go out there and vote. They had 7.4 million votes in the first 24 hours, Stephen.
That's more than two.
That is indeed more than two. I cannot argue these
That
facts.
is actually more than two.
Them's the facts. But
Actually, so that's a good point though. Everyone who's listening, whether you're listening live or not, play along at home. Go to what is it, thegameawards.com or just gameawards.com?
I just said it, thegameawards.com.
Okay, go to thegameawards.com. Get ready to vote. You can go along with us. We are going to go through every single category and talk about our personal pick and prediction.
Not every single one. We're not going to do a lot of the esports ones.
Well, yeah, okay,
Just because we have
thank you
no
for the
knowledge
correction.
whatsoever in those.
Yeah, I have no idea who the esports athletes are, and no offense to them, they're all infinitely better at video games than me. But I'm in it for the art, not the competition.
We say that as we are literally voting for games to be Game of the
Yeah,
Year.
we are
That
competing.
is a
We are
dirty,
pitting
dirty
games
damn
against one
lie.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just it becomes a problem when I vote for people, because then I start to get my personal biases. I start voting for whoever's more attractive, and
I
that's
feel
just
like that's
not.
the thing with all of these things. So you vote with personal biases. Like that's
Well,
why it's a
yeah,
vote.
but I would rather be biased towards a product than a person. I feel like that's a little bit less awful.
That's fair. I get that.
So, uh, one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is Studio of the Year not a category this year?
I did not see it going through the voting. You're right. I
didn't
did
see it
not see
either.
it at all.
And I
I
thought that
think
was really weird because I was so ready to vote Insomniac.
so. Here's my thing with that category. I'm kind of glad thinking about it. It's not there because it seems kind of, if a game wins Game of the Year, is that studio not by like transitive property there? Studio of the Year, like you can't be
I
studio of the,
mean,
you can't be a great studio making the Game of the Year and then not win it. That makes no sense to me.
well, there's sometimes like a game that's not Game of the Year, like for example, like the best ongoing game, for example, like
Mhm.
that's a very community driven thing. Uh, so like I don't know. I feel like a studio, even if they don't have a game that releases during a
Mhm.
year with awards, they might be doing things that help the industry or help the gaming community. So I like that as a category personally. And whenever Media Molecule is nominated, I like showing them support. But I feel like this year I would have been so ready to vote for Insomniac because they have carried the PlayStation 5.
And that's fair. You're not wrong in that. But I guess it's also a similar thing. So say again to the example of ongoing game, that being the studio of the year. Again, that seems like
That's a category too.
it's a category too. Now that person's getting 2 wins because they won at least one. If they win ongoing game, then they're more likely going to win. If unless Game of the Year beats them out, the Studio of the Year as well. It just seems kind of like a gimme award. Like, yeah, okay, come on, seriously.
Yeah.
So that studio's getting their kudos because their game won ongoing the Game of the Year. That studio's getting on best studio because their game won Game of the Year. It just seems too much, oversaturated. It's throwing a lot of nonsensical rewards in here for nothing at all.
Well, this is all masturbatory, anyways. We're industry people giving industry people. Yeah, masturbatory is totally a word. I know this because I masturbate frequently.
I don't think that gives you reason to think that's a word, but okay.
But anyways, like it's just like the Oscars and all those things. It's just it's people in who are. It's really just it's all a bunch of wank, anyways. But I enjoy it. So, what are we talking about?
Masturbatory, bunch of wank.
I hope Becky isn't
like all of
listening.
these words are being thrown in these, and none of them make any sense. Anywho, so tonight, ladies and gents, we will be going over our predictions and personal picks for the Game Awards. Now, if you guys didn't catch it last year, Steven and I have an annual bet based off of who will win what awards at the Game Awards based on our predictions on who will win. Not our personal picks, but who will win what category.
The predictions, yeah.
Yes. Last year I won this. I want to say it was pretty close to the beginning, and then it eventually just took a real left turn for Steven. Like it was real
I was very
for him.
I was very not good at predicting what would win.
He was really bad.
Trip Fantasy says I'm gonna win this year. So like that's actually a good point. Everyone who's listening, watching, what have you, participate. Keep track of your predictions. Let's see how it all stacks up. Come December 9th, right? December 9th. We will find out the winners. We're going to do another show, and we'll find out together. We'll go over them, and we will see which of us two, between me and Alex, wins. And we can see if our audience did a good job predicting. Last year, I bought you some beer. Is that correct?
That is right. That is right. I was trying to think what was the reward last year, and I'm pretty sure it was beer.
Yep. It's. I think we can. Let's do that again. Let's see.
Let's just replicate it.
Winner gets some beer.
Yeah.
There we go.
And if we need to change it up, we can change it up. It's not a big fucking deal. Who cares?
Do you want to shake on it? All right.
I'm not proud of this.
It was a little awkward, but
it was a lot awkward.
Dare I say masturbatory?
Not even applicable to this. Not even if it is a word that I'm sure that word does not translate to this conversation.
Anyways, moving on.
Steven, let's just go ahead and get the show on the road. Let's get the show on the road.
All right, let's just dive in.
So, kicking it off with most anticipated game, the nominees are Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to Legend of Zelda: The Breath of the Wild, and Starfield. Steven, what was your pick?
Are we doing personal or prediction?
Go ahead and throw both out there. Let's just knock two at the same time.
My personal most anticipated game, Horizon Forbidden West. I am very excited for this game. The first game I loved. I thought it was beautiful. The action was great. I love the main character. I'm excited to see what directions the story goes. What they revealed of the world looks astounding. With that being said, I do not think Horizon Forbidden West is going to win. I think it's going to be Zelda Breath of the Wild 2.
That's fair. I'm in a similar boat. While I have actually never finished Horizon Zero Dawn, I have tried it at least 3 times, and I get to a certain point in the game, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get around to it. Um, I think it's just one of those things that it came out in 2015, 2014. I am past the point where I'm like, I care. I'll come around to it, much like I did with The Last of Us Part 1, where it took me damn near a decade to finally go and sit down and play that game.
Yeah.
Um, so I went ahead and I voted for God of War Ragnarok. I was a huge fan of the God of War franchise, all the beginning from 1. Um, Loved the most recent iteration from 2018. Uh, Biggest thing, my biggest reason for getting a PS5 at the time was anticipating a PS5 God of War sequel. Now, my prediction as to who will win is tied between that and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel.
You think there's equal hype for God of War as there is Legend of Zelda?
I do.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
do. So I think the
All
biggest
right.
thing with I think there's two different things. One, God of War has the advantage of we know it's coming. We've seen
Mhm.
it. We know it's coming next year. And we also know that everyone that owns a PS4 or PS5 will be able to play this game. With Legend of Zelda, it has the mystique aspect to it where we don't know when this game is coming. We know nothing about it outside the little snippet we saw at a Nintendo Direct earlier this year. And even then, that was what we saw a year after the game was originally announced, where we still saw very little. Um,
Mhm.
so it has the mystique aspect where the God of War has it one game of the year. That game has been crazy, crazy talked about still. It still carries Sony Santa Monica to this day, and we know it's coming next year. It's got surefire hits compared to we have no idea what the fuck's coming with Zelda. So
All right. I feel like the Zelda name is just so much bigger than God of War, even though like God of War totally stole the show when it came out. Um, but I don't know. I
So,
guess
I
we
mean, it
can see.
also based off of how they vote, depending on if they go a popular vote on top of the judges table. I
Yeah.
think just because of the install base the PlayStation 4 has, and now the PlayStation 5, you may
Hmm.
see the popular vote go God of War simply because of how many people own the console it's going to be played
That is a fair point. Yeah.
on.
Well, all right.
So,
So, let the record show our our picks for that. And so just to clarify, the bet is for our prediction to for what will win, and not our personal vote.
mhm, mhm.
Correct. Okay.
Where
All right.
where is the Huffle Hug? Is she in the chat today?
I don't think Huffle's with us um, at the moment.
Mm,
I think there's
mm.
a way for me to view the viewers, but I don't want to accidentally fuck it up. So
I was
I'm
gonna
just
see if
gonna.
she could we could have her keep track for us, but
Well, I mean, I've
if
got
not,
my
no big deal.
document here. Uh,
I say she's got some life stuff happening, so I mean, I don't. She's not gonna be on here 100% of the time. I'm not gonna throw her on there, and yet she is the worst. Thank you, Demi. She
Huffle
is
is not
indeed
the worst. There is nothing
she
but love for Huffle here. Huffle has been with us since the beginning.
the worst. Mm-mm-mm. What a damn shame.
I feel like I have to reiterate nothing but love here for our audience and for
Just
our
bad. Absolutely fucking deplorable.
only self-hatred is allowed here, not
Damn
hatred for
right.
other people. Anyways, we'll just keep track of it on our own ends and then we can figure it out in the future. I
All
trust
right.
you not to change your answers. Plus, we can always reference this in the future, anyways.
Yeah. All right. Next up, best debut indie. The nominees are The Artful Escape, The Forgotten City, Kina, Bridge of Spirits, Sable, Valheim. I have heard of two of these fucking games. I I don't know. When I saw these nominees, I'm like, I guess it's slim pickings when you're talking about debut. So like I don't know how many games launched
Yeah,
this year
it's
of
got to
critical
be,
acclaim.
well, it has to be a studio's first game.
Exactly.
So,
So
yeah, by nature, it's going to be lesser known things. But
or just like a very niche list of things, because
yeah,
a lot of studios right nowadays are pumping out games and they've been around for at least a year or two.
yeah.
Um, Steven, what'd you vote for?
Personally, I think this category is a given. I think so. My personal vote and my prediction is the same, and that is Kena Bridge of Spirits.
I
Uh,
wholeheartedly agree. Yeah.
yeah, I really don't think it's a contest, and the reason why is I feel like it's not just the most well known, but it's also gorgeous. It is a game that the studio behind it is sort of ingrained in the video game industry. They got their start making a fan animation for The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, and that gained so much popularity that they were like, okay, well, we want to make a game, and uh, they've gotten tremendous community support. Uh, Kana is beautiful. It's gotten great reviews. Despite some like technical hiccups, the artistic direction, the animation, the world building, all of it, I feel like Kana's the clear winner here. Wiener. It's the clear wiener.
I don't think anybody likes a clear wiener, Steven. But yeah,
Um,
I wholeheartedly agree there. I mean, the game it's been called Pixar level animation quality, in just terms of looks as well. It was very much skeptical when the game was announced with uh it was a new developer and it was shown off at a PlayStation 5 showcase. I mean, this game had a lot riding on it and they took off. I mean, I don't
yeah,
think anyone can short them as to what they put out this year. Kudos to them. Yeah, I think they're going to run away with it.
yeah. And another thing that I think is kind of interesting, just this is a random side note, but the fact that this game that looks so charming and adorable um, is actually kind of like a hardcore game. It's been
Mhm.
compared to Dark Souls in terms of its difficulty and the boss battles and things like that. I think that that also goes to show how ingrained in gaming culture these developers are and how they kind of understand gamers.
Mhm.
And like for this to be their debut game and for it to be as gorgeous as it is, to for it to be as I guess gamer centric. I hate that term gamer, but still, uh, I feel like this is a phenomenal debut, and I am very excited to see what they do next.
Agreed. So next up, Steven, is a category which I don't know if we're actually going to get if we're going to go with this one is content creator of the year. Once again, I have no idea who the fuck these people are. Not to take anything away from them.
Maybe some
I have
people
never
in
heard of
chat can
anyone.
chime
Yeah,
in if they have
if
any
you guys
opinions,
know, you
but
can chime in. The nominees are Dream, Fuseli, which when I hear that, I just think of Fuseli from Courage the Cowardly Dog, Gallus, Ibai, and Griffig. I voted Dream because I liked his profile picture.
I did the same thing
That's all I got.
because it's like a,
That's
just a derpy smiley face.
damn
I
right.
actually I did look up. Um, I looked up a little bit of like each person's content just because I felt like I needed to. So Dream does mostly Minecraft content, um, and I think Dream is more of like a persona, and like you don't actually know who they are.
I mean, judging by
It's
that
kind of
photo,
like
I
a
think I know who it
character.
is. It's someone off a stick page. I know who they are.
But like there are other people who frequent um uh their like videos. I have honestly I have no idea. There's another content creator. So I predicted that Dream would win mostly because of the profile picture. However, my personal pick is actually Greg. It's Greg with an F before the last G.
Mhm, mhm.
But the reason why I picked them in particular is because after looking into them, they are a Spanish s content creator, and they're actually they've gained the most following in, like, the Hispanic community. So Spanish speaking with Spanish, uh, content and things like that. So I voted for them personally, because I think that it's pretty cool having representation that's not just, uh, like, English speaking centric content.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so that was why they got my vote. But I do think it's going to be Dream, just because of the derpy face. Also, Dream has a shit ton of subscribers. Like they are ridiculously popular, and I think a lot of that has to do with Minecraft.
Yeah, Minecraft is definitely the factor there. All right, moving right along.
Yeah, real fast, I want to give Demi a shout out. Demi says that Demi says I'm Xbox, not PlayStation, but I'm here to support you guys. Once again, we really appreciate any support, and even though we are a PlayStation podcast, we love all games and all gamers. So thank you so much, Demi, for being here. We do appreciate you.
We do indeed. Thank you, Demi. Next up is Best Multiplayer. Steven, the nominees are Back for Blood, Knockout City, It Takes Two, Monster Hunter Rise, New World, and Valheim.
What is Valheim?
Uh, yeah, I got nothing. I've heard it. I've heard of it. I hear things. I have never once looked into it myself.
It's got to be a PC thing, right?
No, I actually think I think it's on VR, and I believe it's on PlayStation as well.
Do you say VR?
I believe it's a VR game. I could be wrong on this, or at least have VR capabilities.
Trip Fantasy says Valheim on Steam is good. And then Demi says I play it on PC.
Trip
Trip
Fantasy clarified
Fantasy
is
says
not VR,
not VR. Okay,
but
thank you.
I
See,
believe it is on multiple platforms, so I don't think it's just PC.
we're just PlayStation plebs over here. We don't
I'm just a young boy.
understand none of this personal computer bullshit.
There we go. Viking survival craft game.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. So, yeah, Trip Fantasy actually showed me this, I think. Yeah, it has very in-depth building if I'm remembering correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to make actually structurally sound buildings, otherwise they'll collapse. It's like really in depth.
I feel
You
like a
get
lot of people are
fatigued if
really
you
bad at that
swim.
game.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, if this is the thing that I'm thinking of, then it's actually kind of a big deal on PC, and that might change my answers. To be honest, I just
Young
forgot about the name.
man, what are your picks?
Um, so my personal pick is It Takes Two.
Okay.
And in chat, Imagine McNamee has said, I liked It Takes Two. So I'm with you as well, Imagine McNamee. Which is weird because I haven't actually played it, but I love the concept and I love the games that they make. They are strictly co op. Like the option to play it single player isn't even there. You have to play it with somebody else.
Mhm.
And with It Takes Two, at least based on everything that I've heard, it kind of takes things to the next level. And one thing that I love in games, especially multiplayer games, is when there's diversity for gameplay mechanics and different settings and things like that. Things that kind of shake things up frequently. Um, and It Takes Two does that in spades. Like so much so that people are amazed that they're still throwing new ideas at you, like every 10 minutes. That's why I love the game What Remains of Edith Finch, because literally every 10 minutes it's basically a different game. But yeah, so my personal vote is It Takes Two. However, uh, I said that New World would win. Um, and
Interesting, young man.
the reason why is it's kind of a juggernaut. In the MMO world, I believe this is the first Amazon game.
It's
Uh,
not the first one. It's the only one that's actually like worked.
okay, so it's the first like actually good Amazon game. Uh, but it seemed really interesting. My brother actually showed me some of this game, and what I enjoyed about it is there's a lot of like sort of world building that's dependent on the players.
Mhm.
So the players can actually take over territory, and in real time, you can kind of take over each other's land, and it creates kind of like tribes, I guess. And like there's legit like full on wars going on, and that aspect of like creating a community and stuff I think is something that would really speak to a lot of people, and I think that that's compelling as a game. So I put that as the winner, though I think there's a case to be made for Valheim now that I remember what it is.
Gotcha. So my personal and professional pick on this, Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
So as personal one because Rachel and I played Monster Hunter Rise for hours when it came out. It was all I touched. Came in from work, played Monster Hunter. I think that was probably the only game we played launch up until the birth of our son. That's what we played. And we got as much in there as we could because we knew once he was born, that would also stop. Just, because life. But it's a solid game, lots of fun, continuous support. Monster Hunter has done nothing but continue to become more and more accessible to its players. And so the game has launched on Switch. I think has come recently or is coming soon to PC. So it'll also see
Okay.
a sudden resurgence, I imagine, as well, much like Monster Hunter World did when it came to PC after it launched on consoles. The game's just outright fun. It's super easy to jump into. Customization, monsters are fun. We've got new monsters. The inclusion of the Palamutes, the rideable dogs you have in the game now. The fun story. I mean, it's just and Monster Hunters continue but to blow it out of the water with each iterations, as we've seen. So I think that alone will be a big thing. Again, also with install base, with how much that game sold compared to everything else on this list, I imagine the number of people voting, again, depending on how much that carries into the actual show, will play a huge factor into the results that day.
So, you said that was your personal pick. Is that also your prediction?
Yes, like I said, it is my personal and prediction. I believe
Okay.
said
All right.
professional pick, but yes, I believe
Okay.
Monster
Okay.
Hunter will win that all the way around.
Okay. All right. Let the record state our
Mm-hmm.
votes have been cast.
Mm-hmm. Next up, best sports and racing game. Steven, the nominees are F1 2021, FIFA 22, Forza Horizon 5, and hold on, my phone just died. Hot Wheels Unleashed, Riders Republic. What are your picks, Steven?
Um, what do you think my personal pick is?
It's gonna be Hot Wheels.
It is Hot Wheels. It is
It's
Hot
gonna be,
Wheels.
yeah,
Because, okay, so first of all, it's a Hot Wheels racing game, but second of all, it's actually good.
yeah,
It's
yeah. I've heard
actually
nothing but
good.
phenomenal
It's
things.
beautiful. It has legit Hot Wheels like cars that you can unlock,
Mm-hmm.
which is like it kind of gives that gotcha feeling, I guess, or whatever. But it's got like really slick mechanics. It's like strictly racing, so it's like laser focused in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, it's not going to win. Of course, it's not because it's Hot Wheels racing. Uh,
Mm-mm.
I think Forza Horizon is gonna win. That's
Oh,
my
for
prediction.
sure. Yeah.
It's Forza. You can't compete with Forza.
You really can't. I mean, even when people pick Gran Turismo against Forza, I can't think of anyone that
I
doesn't
know,
lean into the realm of like as much as we would love to admit it, everyone leans into that realm of Forza every time.
I know.
Uh, so
But
I
we
mean,
wouldn't have Forza if it's not for Gran Turismo.
that is true. That is very true. That's
Gotta
a point
pay
that can be made
respect where respect is due.
for sure. For sure. My personal and prediction: Forza Horizon 5.
Yep.
Forza is gorgeous. It is. I love racing games. I can't get into Gran Turismo. I can't get into a lot of racing simulators. But Forza as a brand, whether it's motorsport or Horizon, has always kept my attention. The arcadiness, or the light arcadiness, I should say, of Horizon has always been a huge favorite of mine. Uh, the game is fucking gorgeous, plain and simple. Whether
Mhm.
you're playing on Xbox Series S or X, this game stuns and it handles well. It's fun. There's so much you can do with the cars. The environments are extremely lush, colorful, vibrant. You can't go wrong.
Also, something notable about Forza is in the past there was a Hot Wheels collaboration.
That is true.
So, just
Hmm.
saying, Hot Wheels is the real winner here. Trip Fantasy has written into the chat to say Splashdown 2021. If only. If
If
only.
only.
Splashdown is so good, an underrated gem.
And, looking back at it, that game's gameplay was real bad. Like,
Really, I actually think it holds up.
no.
I think it holds up.
I think I think it's accurate. Like the whole having to pull back, like that feeling of like, yeah, this is how you ride a jet ski. You got to pull back when you
Yeah,
drive. You got to tilt back a little bit. I think it with how arcadey and how insane that game is, if you were to input realistic gameplay features in that game and not explain that, no one would know what the fuck's going on. They're like, why is the man singing I'm a king and I have no hair? But at the
I mean
same time,
that's
I'm supposed to realistically expect this game to ride like an actual jet ski. It just doesn't make sense.
I don't think it needs to make sense. It's a
That's fair.
video game. It's fine.
Yeah.
Trip Fantasy writes in and says it just isn't boring like every other racing game.
You shut your whore mouth. Jack X Combat Racing was great.
There's some great racing games out there.
Yeah. Next up, best sim and strategy. We have Age of Empires 4, Evil Genius 2, World Domination, Humankind, Inscription, and Microsoft Flight Simulator.
I I'm just guessing that you're on the same page as me, but I'm just gonna say it. I think across the board, Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, you could just go right past it because it's it is. Come on,
such an ambitious title, a beautiful title, and one that continues to get support. It's I don't think there's much of a contest, but I guess we'll see. Maybe we're just outside of the whole PC side of things, but my personal and prediction would be Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Chichia. Steven, I
Also,
need you to highlight Demi the Drag Queen's phenomenal comment.
yes, that was the next thing I was going to do.
If you have not played Jack X Combat Racing, you need to play this gym. This is a game that was made because Naughty Dog was bored because they were told the PlayStation 3 was not coming out for another fucking year, and it still slaps. Go out there, get on your PlayStation 4 or your PlayStation 5, look up Jack X Combat Racing,
or
and
PlayStation 2.
purchase it. Or PlayStation 2. I highly don't do it on PS2 because I feel like I bought 3 copies and I glitched all at the same point in the same time. I think it was 1,000 issue. But PS4, PS5, play that game.
Jack X Combat Racing.
So damn good. And so
Demi
not
the
talked
Drag
about.
Queen said that Jack X was great and then continued on to say, I don't even like racing, but that game was great.
So good.
Also, low-key, childhood crush, Jack. It's the ears. It's the ears.
The ears? The elf ears? The extremely long elf ears? That's what got
They're
you?
ridiculously long. It's not the only thing long on them. Not the only thing. Just saying.
I got a bunch of Jack stands in the chat.
Yep, Demi agrees. Jack was hot. True Fantasy, Evil Jack. Demi
and
says,
good
oh
Lord.
my god, Evil Jack could... All right, Demi. All right. Jesus Christ. All right.
It's a bold statement.
It's a very... but me too. Me too. I'm a little jealous of Daxter.
Best family game.
Ride Jack all day.
We're transitioning right in the best family here. And the nominees are
Best family game.
Mario Party Superstars, New Pokemon Snap, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and WarioWare Get It Together.
We need to get it together.
I think it's very much you and Timmy over here. Need to get it together.
A little moist for Jack over here.
Steven, why don't you compose yourself? What are your picks?
This is another one where I think it's across the board, both my personal and my prediction. I think the best family game is It Takes Two. And I say that because it's so diverse. It is specifically made for co-op. It cannot be played any other way. It's 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 literally about working together and working through
Mhm.
problems. It has some good lessons in there.
So, let's talk about this because we ran into this last year when we talked about best family game. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Best family.
and I also lost.
It is a very, very vague genre. Because are we talking
Yeah,
about the best game about family, or are we talking about the best family appropriate game out there?
yeah.
Whether it's
Like, is this
families
just
can
for
enjoy it,
kids or is it for like a whole family?
or is
Like,
it
is a
trying to,
boyfriend and girlfriend still a family?
or is the game just trying to build the idea of family?
Yeah.
So just remember that going in, guys, when you go in and vote. This genre doesn't make sense until we actually watch the Game Awards, where Jeff Keighley actually
Breaks our
explains.
hearts. Where he breaks our hearts.
Maybe just you because you lost, but
Yeah.
um, what are your picks? You said It Takes Two for both.
Yeah, it takes two for both. And another reason is even though it kind of deals with like ideas of marriage and stuff, which may or may not be something necessarily that you think of when it comes to like a game appropriate for children, the
Hmm.
fact that it's so uh, full of ideas and that there's so much changing with the gameplay, I think it's the kind of game that will keep a child's attention. So like maybe not like a young child, but a kid who's already familiar with video games and with controllers. I feel like it's hard to be bored with a game that switches it up as frequently as It Takes Two.
Mm,
So I think it stands as a great game for kids and for
that's fair.
parents and kids.
My two, again, prediction and pick: Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. This was a game that was originally released on the Wii U, and I know I'm going to catch some flack from that. 'Cause it's not a new game, for the most part. But
I'm giving you
with
flack.
with the critiques that are out there about how the game improves upon everything that was in the Wii U version, which was actually a very solid game when it launched,
Hmm.
improving upon that, plus the addition of Bowser's Fury, it is fun for the whole family with the amount of people you can play. With 4 people right there ready to go, working together. It's family appropriate. Anyone, whether it's a bunch of little kids jumping in for the first time, or if it's the whole family with mom, dad, and the 2 kids hopping in, it's there. It doesn't force you to do anything. It's, hey, this is the game. You play it. Everyone loves Mario. It's fun. It's appealing. Go bananas.
I'm just so tired of uh whenever people think family games, immediately jump into Nintendo. And let me just say before we go on, uh,
Mhm.
where the fuck is Astrobot?
What do you mean? Where's Astrobot?
We need Astrobot.
Why would it be in any of this?
Astrobot needs to be here because Astrobot is a phenomenal family game. It's family appropriate. It is a perfect game. Astrobot needs some love and attention.
It's true, but it's also a very straightforward single player tech
Oh,
demo.
you're a very straightforward Astrobot. I love me some Astrobot.
Moving right along, the best fighting game.
I'll show you a fight.
The nominees are Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles, Guilty Gear Strive, Melty Blood, Type Lumina, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, and Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown.
I just love that you're reading the titles because usually the fighting game titles are always fucked. Like remember was it last year where there was like Xrd or like
Yeah,
it was like XRD Xrd? I don't even know.
yeah, it was a Guilty Gear, Guilty Gear Xrd.
Yeah.
Any hooser. No, I got my things all in a wonk. Oh, you know what? Because my forward is okay. Okay, I see what I did. Any hooser, Steven, your picks.
So I'm not too big on fighting games personally. Um
Hmm.
However, if there's one thing that I know, it's that what is Arc System Works?
Yep.
they make beautiful and competent fighting games. And so for me, my personal and prediction is Guilty Gear Strive. Uh, However, there is an anomaly here, and I think that it's important for us to address the anomaly,
Mhm.
and that is Nickelodeon. um, this
Yeah.
is a game that kind of took the internet by storm. It kind of just like the fighting community adopted it as its baby. Uh, this stupid Nickelodeon game is not that great. It is not. It is not. However, people love it, and maybe that'll speak very loudly this year. We don't have that many like big games, I think, in the fighting category this year. So maybe Nickelodeon has a chance. And so I have that as like a little asterisk. But still, I'm going to say my personal pick and prediction is Guilty Gear Strive. But I would not be surprised if Nickelodeon won.
So, Steven, I am a fan of fighting games. Well, I don't play them all, and I am for damn sure not good at them all. I love them. While I would have loved to see a fantastic, fantastic Demon Slayer game come out, I feel like this game is too early with its limited cast. So the the characters you can play as are pretty limited. It is developed by CyberConnect 2, who made the visually gorgeous Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games and Asura's Wrath. Um, so the
Oh,
game
Asura's
definitely is
Wrath.
vibrant there.
That's a
So they
name I
definitely
need to
has
hear more.
they definitely got some stuff under their belt, but I think with it being this 3D cinematic, more of a brawler kind of deal, doesn't hold up in the competitive fighting game community. Uh,
Mhm.
Guilty Gear is a mainstay in the fighting game community, much like you said. Arc System Works knows fighting games when it comes to making sure a game is accessible, but also has a lot of depth to the visual prowess that it carries, as well as just a strict sense of community and making sure the game just runs. Talking about stress tests on servers, making sure the game works, the beta testing, the amount I went into this game launching with the current gen consoles, or shortly afterwards, I should say, the care input to that, you can't take it away from them. Got to give it to them on both my prediction and personal pick.
Holy shit, are we agreeing?
I feel like we did earlier. We did the same thing with Forza.
Well, yeah, but that's more of an obvious choice. All right, okay. All right. Trip Fantasy writes into the chat, Guilty Gear good. I appreciate the
GGG.
alliteration.
Mm-hmm.
GGG. So yeah, lots of Guilty Gear love.
Yeah. Next up, Steven, we have best role playing Cyberpunk 2077, Monster Hunter Rise, Scarlet Nexus, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and Tales of Arise. Steven, your picks.
So, again, my personal and prediction
Mm-hmm.
are the same, and that is Tales of Arise. Uh, Now, this game, while it hasn't been as like rapturous, I guess, the people who have played it have said that it is either their game of the year or they are heavily considering it for game of the year.
Uh-huh.
It's a game that many people within the role playing community are uh, they are putting it up on the same level as Persona and saying that this is bringing the Tales games up a level. They're saying that the story is great, that the combat is intuitive and interesting. It's big and it's epic. The only thing that could possibly bring it down is it does have microtransactions that maybe have kind of made them make different design decisions that make getting certain gear and stuff a little bit more difficult in order to push people to buy the microtransactions. However, with that being said, there is a lot of love for this game and a lot of talks for it to be game of the year. So I'm kind of going out on a limb, and I am predicting that that one will win best role playing game.
All right, fair, fair. Not bad. This is a surprise. I wasn't expecting that from you. But I actually recently picked up Tales of Arise, so I'll be here playing it shortly after I finish Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm excited. I played the demo and I loved it. I've always wanted to play the Tales games. This was just the first one again to kind of blow the doors open again, make it a common nameplate like Persona 5. Um, I think this will Tales of Arise, if done well, and it does commercially as well, we will see more Tales of games take the world by storm. We'll see a bigger impact there.
Mhm.
But I say this, it is not my picks for any of this.
Oh,
I think, yeah, my personal prediction, or my personal pick, I should say, Scarlet Nexus.
really?
When the game, yeah, oh gosh, yes. So when this game launched, it is visually vibrant. It's fun to look at. It's fun to play. It has a lot of the social aspects and things you saw out of a Persona game. And it's honestly being treated much like Persona was, where the game came out. It has an anime based upon it. The supporting manga, I believe, is also coming out in the near future. I think this game is it's fun. It's easy to get into. Uh, but I do believe the winner will be Monster Hunter Rise.
Okay. See, I thought that was going to be your personal pick, was Monster Hunter.
No, I think Monster Hunter again with again the install base and the things I mentioned before. It's it's Monster Hunter. It's reviewed
Okay.
extremely well. Critics love it. I think it beat out every game on this list when it comes to just the critical score overall. And then again, the ongoing support it still has going forward. Yeah.
Well, all right.
Next up, Steven. We're getting into it now. We're getting real close.
Yeah, this is where things start to get really interesting, I think.
hmm Best action adventure game. And the nominees are Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village. Steven, your pick. Notice I
This
said
is
pick.
what
I notice I said pick, not picks.
I don't
Because I know you're gonna have there's gonna be one game you're gonna pick. It's gonna be your personal and your prediction.
um no, you're wrong.
You scandalous bitch.
I'm sorry. So this first of all, this is a bit of a loaded category. I think that all of these games are awesome.
hmm
Like across the board, I would recommend every single one of these games. Um, however, my personal pick, it is very biased, uh, would be Ratchet and Clank,
hmm
and I feel like it has to be. I'm
Well, how
I
often you
was
threatened people in this
I
show?
threatened lives for this game. I it it I I needed this game, and Ratchet and Clank is such a feel good game. It just feels good to play.
hmm
It's not anything like life changing. It's comfort food, and it just feels good to get back into a Ratchet and Clank game. And Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is more of that. Um, with that being said, I do not think that other people would agree. um,
What do you
I
think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
I think Metroid Dread is going to win this category.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yep, yep. It's a, a return to form for Metroid. It has been getting nothing but praise from those who played it, um, other than David Jaffe, who hates it for some reason. Uh,
That man.
poor David.
Poor David.
But no, seriously, I think Metroid is such a beloved franchise in the gaming
Mhm,
industry, and it's been a while since there's been a Metroid game that people really kind of rallied behind, and this is it. This is a Metroid. It feels like Metroid. It. it's Metroid. So I think it's kind of hard to compete against it.
So my thing with Metroid Dread is I think while it's definitely a great game, I think we're hearing more about it now is because I think you've seen the conversation where Metroid is a Nintendo franchise that is beloved by fans, but it does not get the same love from Nintendo that other Nintendo franchises do. So I think
Mhm,
fans are taking it upon themselves to really talking about this game to get Metroid the respect it deserves. I think if it's the outcry is so Nintendo hears it, so Metroid isn't put on the back burner longer for another, however long it was for a true Metroid game to come out. Uh,
mhm.
Last one I think was Metroid Other M, and then after that you had Metroid, whatever the 3DS game was, where it was like a Metroid Force or something like that. And then you had Metroid Samus Returns, which was a remake of an old SNES Metroid game. So this is the first true return to form, you're right. But I think the outcry you hear is to make sure that they don't go so long again. I don't
Mhm.
think it's necessarily commenting while the game is again is good. I think we're hearing more about it, so we don't go so long without seeing another one. But my picks, my personal prediction to win Ratchet and
Oh,
Clank Rift Apart.
interesting.
I predict Ratchet and Clank will win. I think
And that's your
because it
personal pick too?
no, it's not my personal pick. It's what
Okay,
I
okay.
predict to win. I think just due to how much it pushes the hardware of the PlayStation 5,
Mhm.
with being a fantastic looking game, the ode to PlayStation history it does, um, how pulling dimensions flows so seamlessly, gameplay is solid. It is a gamey game, which I think if you ever talk about, man, I really like a gamey kind of game, it's always in the action adventure category. Ratchet and Clank holds that is king of that. There's a reason you
Yeah.
see more Ratchet and Clank games coming out and taking that throne as opposed to Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter. It has stood the test of time. They've put out hits after hit after hit. There's been no slowdown, and it's a very, very, very well taken care of franchise.
And
Now,
speaking of which, I will just say, and this is mostly for Demi, but anyone who appreciates Jack on any level, uh, check out Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I think that you'll appreciate some of the inclusions in that game. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That is all.
my personal pick, though, Psychonauts 2.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I can speak to this because I've played 2 out of the 5 games here. I wanna play Ratchet and Clank. I have not gotten around to it yet. I'm in the midst of playing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, very good game, but Psychonauts 2, I was the first big thing I really played on my Xbox Series S with Game Pass, and that game was just solid. Again, it is a gamey game. It is a fun
Mhm.
little platformer. The story is engaging. It's fun. It's heartfelt. Everything about the game is just solid when it comes to gameplay, which is a huge step up compared to how my experience was with the original Psychonauts when I played through it a couple of years ago.
It
Um,
unfortunately does not hold up.
no, that pisses me off. It didn't hold up then. Fuck that. Fuck the goddamn Meat Circus. Any
the
hooser.
I mean the world and the story and the presentation, that's fine.
Yeah,
But
but fuck the
God,
Meat
does it not
Circus.
feel good to play.
Fuck the Meat Circus. The rest of that game, fun. Literally, it was great until I'm not.
Can we get
Let
a
me get
shirt
off
that
of that.
just says "fuck the meat circus"
Let
with
me.
no explanation?
I'm sure it's out there. It has to be. With how long ago that happened, how much of it's still ass. I'm gonna get off my
Honestly, though,
soapbox.
like, so Psychonauts was one that I was torn for my prediction to win.
Hmm.
Honestly, so I was torn between that and Metroid. And while I think both of them are interesting because they do have sort of a bit more of like a niche cult following within the gaming community, I
Hmm.
think just Metroid wins out. Uh, just it's such a bigger title, and it has such like a big influence on the industry and on games as a whole. I feel like that, I don't know, it's gut feeling, and my gut
Yeah,
feelings are not always the best, but
my biggest thing with that with not Ratchet and Clank with Metroid and Psychonauts 2, they didn't do anything to push the genre per se. Metroid, while it's fun, it's solid,
yeah.
it handles well. It doesn't do anything that pushes the envelope. Same thing with Psychonauts 2. It is a straightforward action adventure game. The game looks good, it's fun to play. and it's a ball of fun, but it does not push the envelope. Ratchet and Clank pushes the PS5. It pushes the envelope with this development, whether how the game looks, again, gameplay, graphics, sound design, everything that game does, it does well, and it pushes it every time. Whenever we talked about this last year when the PS5 dropped, if there was a game that was going to demonstrate what the PS5 did, just like it has with every other console before it, it's Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank pushed and showed what the PS4 Pro could do. It showed what it could do on the PS3 with the future tools of destruction games. It
Mhm.
showed what the PS2 could do. It's constantly pushing the envelope. Now, Steven, do you have the list of categories pulled up on your phone? My phone just died.
I don't have it, but I can get it.
You little wog.
We were on best action game, right?
Best action adventure game. Oh, there's
Okay.
one little poof that's just kind
Let
of
me go
hanging
ahead
out.
and get that pulled up. Dun, 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 dun. That's not how you spell any of those words, Stephen.
You are a young boy.
God, this is such a intensive website. There's a lot going on this website, and
Yeah, I just don't
uh,
quite understand
I
why.
wish it wasn't as
Yeah,
busy.
it doesn't need to be. The most traction that website gets is when people vote and when it's streamed. It doesn't need a bunch of animations and transitions just for people to do that,
It's
in my
just a lot.
opinion. To
It's
be
just a
fair, it's
lot.
a lot better than it was last year. Last year, I hated navigating the voting.
So, next category. So we just did the best action adventure, and this
Mhm.
category is just strictly best action game.
Okay, okay.
So the nominees are Back for Blood, Chivalry 2, Deathloop, Far Cry 6, and Returnal. So, Alex, if
Alright.
you want to take it away with your personal and prediction.
Personal and prediction go to Deathloop. That
Both of
game
them.
was yeah, that game was
Okay.
critically received all the way around. I can't think of anyone that reviewed it with less than a 10. Everyone that's played that game has enjoyed it thoroughly. It is, I mean, even in this presentation alone, it's action, right? It reminds you of a good Tarantino film, or Robert Rodriguez, I should say, not Tarantino, in a sense. With just the film grain, the trailers, the gameplay is fun. The gameplay is literally built to play to. It is action all the way around. The game is built around you dying and coming back and replaying the same loop. It's fast
Mhm.
paced, it's fun, it's balls to the wall, it's throttling. That game is there. All the other games, again, not to take away from them, but we're back for blood is more about the cooperative action there and really just building that sense of teamwork. Returnal being a bullet hell. Uh, but I think the most action that game really comes from is just how flashy it gets with the different environments and different kinds of weapons. There's just a lot happening. I don't think it speaks to how much like the true action piece there. Um, what were the other nominees again?
Far Cry 6 and Chivalry 2 were the
Chivalry
other
2.
two.
I know a lot of people, some good buddies of mine are loving Chivalry 2, and it's fun. But I mean, it's just, again, it's a online multiplayer combative game, like objective base, your medieval times, swinging maces, swords,
Or
clubs, things
Samurai
of that nature.
Times. Aren't there samurai in there too?
No, you're thinking of For Honor.
Oh, that's
Chivalry,
right. God.
yeah,
Okay.
chivalry is
All right.
strictly medieval, like knights.
All right.
Um,
That's my bad.
and then Far Cry 6, just it's action, yeah, but it's a lot more RPG elements in there than I would
Far
say
Cry
would go
just did
into.
not resonate as much as it has in the past.
I think it
Um,
didn't only because, same thing, different. The games have
yeah.
gotten stale. It needs a good facelift. So, yeah.
Uh, so I agree with you in terms of your prediction for what will win. I think
Mhm.
Deathloop is the clear front runner. Uh, I mean, if you look at Metacritic, if you look at just how people are talking about this game, uh, yeah. However, my personal pick would have to be Returnal. And the reason why is this game is just a vibe. It is soaked in atmosphere. Um, I haven't really seen a game with this kind of style to it. And I think that's cool. Like the enemy design, how brutal the game is, but it has like it's weird. It has so many different influences that you wouldn't think would work. Like it's like Alien and PT and like classic arcade games, like Resogun or Super Stardust, which
Mhm.
Housemarque had made in the past. Like it's like a weird fusion of different things and different influences, and somehow it works, and it's really been speaking to people. And it's a game that uh, is kind of off-putting with how difficult it is, but then it really gets its teeth into you. And also, as a shout out, they have listened to people, and they've added a checkpoint system. So what would normally require like 2 hours of uninterrupted gameplay, you can now have like a checkpoint, and it makes the game a little bit more accessible for people who don't have as much time. So also the fact that they're listening to their fans and updating the game with quality of life changes, I think that's also important, and that speaks to that game and that studio, Housemarque. With that being said, though, I think Deathloop is totally going to win.
Mhm.
And Imagine McNamee writes in and says it's basically the same game over and over, but I like the boy. Far Cry 6, that is.
The boy.
It just says the boy. Is there a boy?
Yeah, you play as the boy.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if this was like a like I like the game, but just calling the game a boy. I don't know.
I like the child.
It's a good boy.
Give me that boy. Give me that. Give me that.
Um, you said your phone's dead.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. So next category is best VR/AR game. I have to reload the categories because this website is kind of lame. All right. So the nominees for best VR or AR game are Hitman 3, I Expect You to Die 2, Long Echo 2, Resident Evil 4, and Sniper Elite VR. How do you feel,
Resident
Alex?
Evil 4. Resident Evil 4. That
Across
game
the board?
across the board, that game has
Okay.
seen every kind of port and release it can since 2004, and it still holds up every damn time. Like with the implementations it took to become on the VR were solid. It works. It still gives you a sense of horror, that tingling in the back of your neck. The gameplay is solid. For something that was being mapped from a GameCube to PlayStation to PC to being remastered, or not necessarily remastered, but upscaled on the PS4 and Xbox One, the game it holds up, and I can't think it is the Skyrim before Skyrim, where every time this game comes out, it'll still deliver. It won't be something where, oh man, it's just the same game. Like, yeah, it's the same game, and there's a reason why, because the game
Now,
fucking works.
there is something kind of weird about the Resident Evil 4 VR. They did
Hmm.
actually make some changes. Like they've sort of gone through and changed some dialogue, and they've removed certain scenes that are a
Hmm.
little bit. I don't want to say sexually explicit because they weren't, but they were a little bit suggestive. Um,
Cringeworthy with yeah.
yeah, but I mean, still, I think that's an interesting talking point in and of itself, and maybe we can talk about it in a later episode more in depth. But it's like one of those things that's kind of weird, where it's like if you're going to re-release a game, um, that's a discussion to be had. Where it's like, do you um, honor where the game came from, and do you preserve that,
Hmm.
or do you update it to make it a little bit more palatable to modern sensibilities? And I don't know if I necessarily agree with the idea of changing some of the things, especially when they're relatively harmless. Like a lot of the changes weren't really for things that were really questionable or like awful. They were just kind of like you do that.
I think you're right. I think at that point you're kind of dipping into a different conversation because you could say that about quite a few things,
Yeah.
going on nowadays, but who's to know? Or like, yeah, a year from now that could be like, no, that's probably not okay. So I think they're future proofing something, especially the way the how the climate, I guess I should say, has changed since 2004. I think they
Yeah.
did the right thing with updating it just because it future proofs it. It's the last thing you need is an article coming out or critiquing a mistake, or I guess I can't even really call it that. What was okay in 2004 and comparing it to 2021, like, hey, this is not okay. And it's like, well, it was okay then when the game originally came out. So if you don't
Well,
change it, you're gonna be open to something.
that's what's so weird about it is I feel like even today, like it would be okay in media. Like it's okay in a movie.
It's
It's okay in a
true.
book. Why is it not okay in video games? Like why do we
I,
hold video games to like such a more critical eye? And
I,
that's something that I think is something that video games have combated for a while, where we're kind of held to a more um uh, I don't want to say a higher standard. We're held to a lower standard. Like
I
people
think that
expect
comes
video
down
games
to
to be awful.
the audience, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking different audiences there. You're talking about the average moviegoer against the common everyday gamer. Uh, you're gonna have you have different people playing those games compared to the people that actually go out to movies.
Yeah.
Um, so you're catering to your audience with that. And like I said, it's future proofing. While it could be okay today and it was okay in 2004, doesn't mean it's okay in 2022. So you adjust with the times. Nothing wrong with it. I think it's a smart thing to do so you're not tarnishing the legacy of a game that has stood the test of time.
Mhm. Now, I do agree with you in terms of Resident Evil 4 VR winning.
Mhm.
However, I am a little upset that Fract is not on here, which is the PlayStation VR game. It has sort of like a Borderlands art style. It is just bombastic, balls to the wall action. You can like ski while shooting people. It has really intuitive cover based shooting mechanics, and it's just not present. And this game reviewed wonderfully, and people said, "Wow, this is a game changer for VR." And it's not even on here. So shout out to Fract. However, my personal pick is Hitman 3,
Mhm.
and the reason why is Hitman is kind of a playground as it is, where you can approach situations kind of however you want to, and that in VR I think is very compelling because VR is just such a tactile thing. It's easier to immerse yourself in an experience in VR, and Hitman in VR is just like it's weird because I never thought of it before, but it's almost a no-brainer, and I feel like that's an exciting concept. Um, and from what I hear, they did a pretty good job implementing it. So my personal pick, Hitman 3 in VR. But yeah, Resident Evil 4 VR is my prediction to win.
Taking the cake.
Taking the cake.
Cake.
That was a very gooey cake, very moist. Very moist cake. Jesus Christ. So next category.
Had nothing to do with this.
Moving on, there's an argument in the chat right now over whether or not Skyrim is good. uh, I thought I should acknowledge that. Um,
Mm-mm-mm.
so next category is innovation in accessibility, and the nominees are Far Cry. Why can I not talk?
Far cry.
Far Cry,
Cry,
Far
cry,
Cry,
far cry.
Far Cry 6, Forza
Mhm.
Horizon 5. I cannot do this. I'm so bad at reading. Forza Horizon 5, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and The Veil Shadow of the Crown.
So I'm going with one option on this, and this is strictly due to this studio's track record with accessibility and gaming. Ratchet and Clank. I mean,
Okay.
Insomniac has continued, especially in making huge strides, especially since the release of Spider-Man on the PS4, with accessibility in games and the options and to the level of detail that's available out there. I can only imagine what they did with Ratchet and Clank going forward into that. So I have to give my point to them on both sides.
So that's your personal pick and your prediction to win.
Hmm.
Okay. So I agree in terms of Ratchet and Clank is my personal pick as well. I think Insomniac, like you said, has done a great job, and they just keep getting better. Um, and with Ratchet and Clank, in particular, there are like listening to different podcasts and stuff where they have different guests specifically talking about accessibility. Uh, Ratchet and Clank is interesting because there's a feature that not a lot of games have where you can like literally slow down the speed of the game, and like couple that with a bunch of like visual like filters or enhancements that help people that have different visual impairments and things like that.
Hmm.
Uh, and some people are saying that this is their first time ever being able to actually play a game like Ratchet and Clank, where normally there's just a lot of action going on screen and it's very fast and they have to react quickly. But with this game, the accessibility options are so effective that they're actually able to play the game despite being mostly blind. And that was something that I thought was amazing hearing for The Last of Us Part 2. And it seems like Insomniac has implemented those same kinds of things into Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And I think that that is important to kind of give a shout out. However, this is another gut feeling thing. I think the winner is going to be Forza. And a big reason why is a lot of people are talking about it specifically when it comes to how so Forza has actually a lot of accessibility options, and one of which that I think is interesting and kind of one that I didn't even think about was they added sign language to the game.
Hmm.
Which is kind of weird. There's an actual video of somebody doing sign language in the corner. So that way, instead of having to read subtitles or obviously listen to dialogue, there's a visual like movement. And for a lot of people who are hearing impaired, that's apparently easier for them to understand than subtitles because when you're playing a game, it's harder to take your eyes off the action and read text on the bottom of a screen,
Hmm.
but your brain can kind of comprehend movement, like hand movements and things like that. So that I thought was fascinating. And I was like, how in the hell do you implement sign language in a video game? Like that's mind blowing to me. So there's that, but then also being a member of the LGBT community, the fact that this game is taking like identity and pronouns seriously um, is interesting. While that's something that I don't really uh, need in a game, I appreciate that it's there for people who want that to be there. Like so much so that announcers will use different pronouns audibly, like in the dialogue when addressing the player character and things like that. I think that that is uh, a kind of a sign of things to come, whether there may or may not be community pushback. It has been a talking point for a lot of people, but I think that those kinds of features are going to give Forza Horizon the edge here in the Game Awards. So that's my prediction.
All right. Moving right along.
All right, so the next category is Best Community Support. And let me just go ahead and load that up because every time that I go back, I have to click things because of this website. Best Community Support. The nominees are Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy Online. What is it? Final Fantasy? Is it 14? Final Fantasy
Yes,
14
14.
Online.
Hmm.
Fortnite and No Man's Sky. We already immediately have somebody in the chat giving Final Fantasy 14 a shout out. Trip Fantasy is saying Final Fantasy 14, they better win. Feel free to tell us why in the chat, and we'll come back to you after we give our picks. So, Alex, how about you? What are your personal and predictions?
I'm right there with Trip Fantasy on both. I voted for Final Fantasy 14. I believe they'll win it. Um, just the continued listening from Square as to what the game needs to implement, and then constantly being implemented with every big expansion that comes through. The game is ever evolving and ever changing for the good. I mean, hell, the base game of Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn, was a response of Square listening to its fans and its community and re-releasing a dead game, building it from the ground up and making sure it works. So, I mean, I don't know how you can have a stronger community than that. So,
Yeah. So Final Fantasy is my prediction to win. For all of those same reasons, it really is. I don't know if underdog story is the right word, but it really is the comeback story, I guess, when it comes to MMOs, because it was dog shit when it launched, and the fact that
absolute
they've
dog water.
yeah, and the fact that they have brought it back from the dead, and so intensely so that it is the biggest MMO ever now.
Yeah.
Like in terms of player base, surpassing World of Warcraft, and it just crazy. It's insane. So my prediction to win is Final Fantasy. However, oddly enough, it's almost a similar story. My personal vote is No Man's Sky, and the reason why is very similar to Final Fantasy. It's a game that was kind of dog shit when it launched. It got a lot of bad press. It like people were really concerned about the game, and they have really turned it around. And to this day, they have not released an expansion or an update for the game that costs money. And I think that that is amazing. They have added like a shit ton of features that are game changing without charging a single dime to their player base. And I think that that is awesome because
I mean, along does that drive the community because it's free, or just
um,
nice the game is free?
well, it's
Not the
not
game itself,
just
but the
so.
things being
Not
added to
only
it.
do I consider that to be a good token of faith to the community, just saying, "Hey, here's this content for free," but it is content that people want. They're listening to
Mhm.
fans, and now they're beyond the point of making good on the promises that they made. And
Mhm.
now they're adding things by having conversations with their community and saying, "What do you want? What do you need? What are some quality of life changes? What are some like pie in the sky dream updates that you want?"
Mhm.
And they have implemented a lot of these things. Like it's the game is just like it's turning into like remember when the game was announced and people were like, "This is my dream sci-fi game," and then it launched and people were like, "Oh." And
No Man's Sky.
now I think it's kind of becoming the dream sci-fi game. Like they're adding all of the things that people want. Now, it essentially is sort of like a space MMO. They keep building on to the multiplayer aspect. They've added more like economy features and not just base building but world building. There's uh, pets and ships that you can raise or grow. It's like weird, but there's all kinds of different things that you can do. And I think that that's interesting. And I think that deserves a shout out. And all of the updates have been free, which is cool.
Mhm.
Um, Now, to go back to Trip Fantasy, they said that Final Fantasy 14 better win because they actually give a shit about the game. He said the death of the game is embedded into the lore, even. So
Yes.
the failed launch is actually part of the world's story,
Mhm.
which that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, I predicted that they'll win, and I think they definitely deserve it. So yeah.
Moving right along.
So the next category is best mobile game. Uh, this one is always interesting because um, I feel like I don't know. Mobile games have kind of had a little bit of a bad rap. Uh, in my opinion. And I mean, I've personally been guilty of this too, but I think this goes to show that there's like some really legit quality titles on mobile as well. Uh, but anyway, so the nominees are Fantasian, Genshin Impact, League of Legends Wild Rift, Marvel Future Revolution, and Pokemon Unite. Alex, take it away.
Personal pick goes to Pokemon Unite. I had a lot of fun with it for about a couple months or so. Honestly, the only reason I stopped playing was I use my phone for a lot of work I do. So by the time I come home and I had time to play it, my phone would be dead. So
Oh,
I'm like,
like
well,
now, your phone
like
is
right
dead.
now. Yeah. So now I have to charge it. By the time it's done charging, I'm asleep. It's Betty bye. So I'm like, I ain't playing no Unite today. I'm solo, not Unite with nobody else today. Um, but I believe the win will go to Genshin Impact. The game is just taking the
Okay.
world by storm with how many people are logging on, how much is there to that game, just being a mobile game alone, and then the online aspect to it as well. The game is just too big and still so simple and easy to get into. Uh, it just fits the mobile space and it's killing it. It can't. There's no signs of it slowing down, which is crazy. So
I agree with you there, and I wouldn't be surprised. However, both my personal pick and my prediction is Pokemon Unite. And the reason why is honestly, like it got Andreas back into video games. He's kind of off and on.
yeah,
But I mean, he really loves it, and I feel like it's taking Pokemon, which is a huge name,
hmm
uh, and MOBA, which is not necessarily known for being the most accessible of genres,
true.
and it's making it accessible, where people who normally don't even play that many video games can still get in and enjoy it. And I think that that's valuable. I think it's hard to see a Pokemon game not um, winning a category like this.
Pokemon Cafe Mix.
Was that ever
That game,
nominated?
no, because it was shit. But it
Well, I
was a
mean, but
Pokemon mobile game.
Pokemon Unite is not shit. It's not life changing, but it's
It's
not.
not. Yeah, Pokemon Unite. I think a big thing of that is a lot of the decisions the development team makes. Uh, while the intention is good natured, it's also ass backwards. I think I could talk about this later, but I mean, the matches are 10 minutes long. Like, so it's a long, like, it's a commitment. I mean, I got shorter matches in fucking Overwatch than I do a Pokemon Unite. Um, there's no scoring you can see actively in the game. So you don't know where you place outside of a few comments here and that pop on the score like, hey, we are taking we're re-lagging behind, or hey, we have a huge lead. But it doesn't tell you how much of a huge lead it is.
Mm.
And the development team said they do that just so, players don't give up and lose halfway through the game. But at the same time, if you get that comment early in the game and you keep playing and the other team gets all of the things that would turn the tide, you've lost the fucking game. It's okay to surrender. Just get done with it. You don't need to spend another 4 minutes left in this fucking match that you've already played for 6 to fool yourself that you're going to win. It is it can last way too long for this dumbest of reasons. And I feel like if you had a score there that really kind of churns and burns, get more games played, you're gonna have more just a concurrent user base. But that's just one of my gripes with it. Again, I love it. It's fun, but that
Tell me how you really feel.
when I read that, I was like, "What? That makes no fucking sense." I was like, "That is the most ass backwards thing I could ever." We don't want people to quit the game, so we're not showing you the score. But we're gonna pop up these very motivational and misleading comments throughout the entire game, so you waste 10 minutes of your life where you could have quit, boosted your stuff up, and joined another game where you had a chance.
I mean, I think it's a matter of audience too. Like, I don't think Pokemon Unite is made for like the hardcore and like super competitive. I think it really is just an accessible, casual MOBA, and I think
It
at that it succeeds.
Yes and no in some cases, because there are a lot of the things you earn and you have to get. Because I mean, the game was knocked when it first launched because of how hard it was to progress, where it's like day one, it's like, "Nope, you've gotta spend money. If you wanna win it all in this game, you're spending money because you gotta get top tier characters to play as, and you gotta get top tier hold items." They got a lot of shit for that, and now they have all these giveaways where you can essentially hang with the best of them just by collecting the giveaways, but you only get some of those giveaways by winning. So, yeah, it's casual where everyone can join, everyone knows how to play, but you're missing out on a whole lot of free shit only because you're not winning the game. So,
Yeah,
it's weird. But anyway, moving on.
that's fair. Uh, Next category is best indie. So this one, the nominees are 12 Minutes, Death's Door, Inscription, Kena Bridge of Spirits, and Loop Hero.
My personal pick, Kane of Bridge of Spirits. I've been so excited for that game all year. I've yet to pick it up, but you better believe when I do, I'm jumping right in. I'm gonna get sucked up. But my prediction is Death's Door. That game has been a critical
Okay.
indie darling all year. And with its recent release on PlayStation and Switch coming, uh, it's yeah. Come on now.
Interesting. Uh, so okay. I can get behind that. My personal and prediction is Kena Bridge of Spirits. Um, I feel like it's and all of the same things I said before apply
Hmm.
here. Um, I also want to give a shout out to 12 Minutes. Uh, that game is hot garbage.
Yeah, I'm real surprised to see it nominated for a
I,
fucking
I
thing.
I mean, congratulations for getting onto this nomination because I'm sorry, but I was very excited for that game. You when you throw out a name like Willem Dafoe, and when you have an awesome announcement trailer like you did at what was it, E3, or was that the Video Game Awards? I can't even
I
remember now.
actually think it might have been the Game Awards.
But yeah, the announcement trailer like blew my mind, and I was excited for it, but I couldn't play it because I didn't have a platform that could play it. So I loaded up a playthrough of it on YouTube, and I was laughing because of how bad it was. Um, and it presents itself as a very serious game, but holy shit, why is it here? Uh, and I mean, just personal opinion, and I know that a lot of people love that game. A lot of people also hate the game, but it's a very divisive game. And I don't want to put too much negative energy out there, but I was very surprised to see that here personally.
Mm.
I frankly expected something like Chicory to be on here with the amount of love that that's been getting, or something like that. Um, but yeah, just random little gripe, I guess.
Meh.
Uh, but yeah, so next category is Best Ongoing Game. And the nominees are Apex Legends, Final Fantasy XIV Online, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, and Call of Duty Warzone. Alex, what are your picks?
I'm gonna have to hand it to Genshin Impact again. I mean, the same reason I gave on mobile. The game has continued to do so on uh, console. It has taken the console scene by storm with how easy it is to get into. It's fun. There's constant addition of new playable characters to go through. Um, I just don't think anyone expected that game to get as much traction as it did, and it has
Mm,
not stopped. And it's free. It's free to download. So
That's
I
one of my
think
favorite words is free.
there you go. So I think that is there. Um, yeah.
Okay, I can get behind that. However, my personal pick and prediction with the nominees, I'm gonna have to agree with in the chat. We have Trip Fantasy saying Final Fantasy 14. I agree. Um, I think that while it's not free, it has taken the world by storm. It is now record breaking,
Mhm.
and it justifies its cost,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is something that is increasingly hard to do, especially for a game that requires so much of an investment of time.
I mean, a
Um,
time and then a monthly subscription. Or
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Final Fantasy 14. That's my prediction. That's my personal pick, and I think if it wins, it would be deserving. Um, so yeah.
All right.
Next category is games for impact. This is one of my favorite categories because I think that games can offer a lot um, to the world, and I think that games really can have a positive impact on not just individuals but society as a whole. So
Mhm.
I really love this category. With that being said, I usually have not heard of most of the games in this category. Uh, uh, However, the nominees for games for impact are Before Your Eyes, Boyfriend Dungeon, Chicory: A Colorful Tale, Life is Strange: True Colors, and No Longer Home. Alex, what are your thoughts?
Um, my prediction and again personal pick are going to Life is Strange True Colors.
Okay.
Life is Strange as a franchise has always very much been in that category. Always deservedly to win. I don't think it's always won. I think it won once. I can't remember. I want to say Life is
I think it's
Strange
been
2.
consistently nominated,
Yeah.
but I don't
Consistently
know if it's
nominated.
won.
I think maybe Life is Strange 2. Maybe.
I think
Um
I wanted it to win last time.
um, but I think this is the year we get it. I think this is when it happens.
Okay.
Just with how much traction the game has gotten, and because of the franchise ties from 1 and 2, the funding is there to just add more and more to answer the needs and the wants of what the previous 2 games were lacking. I feel like
Mhm.
True Colors has capitalized on that.
Okay. Um, I actually so I put that as my prediction to win. Life is
Mhm.
Strange: True Colors. Um, for a lot of the reasons why you said. Traditionally, Life is Strange has been um, a very inclusive game.
Mhm.
It has been sort of adopted by the queer community. Um, it is the indie gay hipster flagship game, and for good reason. It understands the audience and it represents us in a way that we, for the most part, agree with, which is pretty cool. And also, True Colors, it kind of like ups the ante on a level of quality for both writing as well as presentation, like on the technical level. So there's that. Uh, but yeah, Life is Strange is a game series that's not afraid to talk about uh, certain topics in a way that, for the most part, is handled pretty well. So that's my prediction. My personal pick, though, is Chicory. Personally, uh,
Mm.
yeah, just because it's a game where it doesn't seem like it's going to be that like uh, riveting, I guess. From the outside looking in, but then as you play, there's like characters who have a lot more to say, and it's a little bit more heartfelt and thoughtful than it may seem when you just watch a trailer about a game where you color. And then
That's fair. That's fair.
it is literally a coloring book. Um, so that's my personal pick, but again, I predict that Life is Strange is going to win. And as much as I hate to do this, I have another gripe with this one. Why in the hell is Boyfriend Dungeon here? Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I was so I know your feelings aside to it, but it's reviewed it had a good following when it first launched. People liked that game. I don't know why
yeah, people
personally,
liked it,
but
but when it comes to impact, though, what is it trying to say?
I have no idea.
Date a stalker? Is that what it's trying to say?
I don't know,
I just
man.
I really don't. I don't know if that's the kind of impact I want to see in the world. Like, yeah, sure, it's dating game, cool, and there's some queerness, but you can't just throw that in there and then be okay. If you
Yeah,
wanna
you,
if you
you
wanna
gotta do
leave a
something with
mark,
it.
you gotta make sure that it's something that's, be the change you wish to see in the world.
You.
Uh, so, I don't care if there's attractive men who are also swords. I appreciate the phallic imagery, but I don't know, it's a little rapey. So
Penis is impact, man. I don't know what to tell you.
So
Dicks
yeah,
for
uh,
impact.
I'm really baffled by that inclusion. But anyways, um, this is a fun category. So next category, best performance. Um, the nominees are, and I'm going to butcher some names,
Oh, jeez.
just so you know. Please help if you
Mhm.
can, Alex.
Alright.
Uh, so Erica Mori as Alex Chen in Life is Strange.
Okay.
Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Castillo.
Juan Carlo Esposito as Juan Carlo. Yeah.
Thank you. In Far
Welcome.
Cry.
Yes.
uh, Jason Kelly as Colt Vaughn in Deathloop.
Oh, you fucked that one up royally.
Did I? Are you
No,
lying?
yes, Jason Kelly.
Okay. It's Jason Kalai.
Yes.
Um, Maggie Robertson as Lady Dimitrescu uh, from Resident Evil Village. And God damn it. Ozioma A- Akaga as Juliana Blake in Deathloop. I'm so sorry. I'm
Giancarlo
so sorry.
Esposito. I mean, I can't think of a performance that man has put in anything he does. From Breaking Bad to The Mandalorian to Far Cry.
Mhm.
He's stone cold. I mean, his performances always hit. He nails it every time. He is a lover of his craft, and he didn't there were no shortcomings with him delving into the video game scene. So I think personal and prediction, the man's got it.
Okay. Uh, I while I appreciate um, all of that, uh, I don't know. For me, and I haven't played Far Cry. However, just like listening to what people have to say, there was a lot of hype surrounding his performance. But from what I hear, and not as a negative mark for the actor at all, but I think that the character didn't allow for him to really uh, do a lot. Like people were pretty underwhelmed, I think,
Mhm,
across the board with Far Cry 6. And unfortunately, I think that that also affected how people perceive his performance. Um, for me, my prediction and personal pick is going to be Erica Mori as Alex Chen in Life is Strange. Um, I think it's just because like that game is such a character driven game, it kind of allows the character to shine more.
mhm,
And so there's just more to work with as an actress. And from what I hear, a lot of people really love Alex as a character in Life is Strange, so much so that they are like if asked to rank all of the Life is Strange characters, they're putting Alex at the top. Like she is the most relatable and the least cringy, which is saying a lot for Life is Strange.
mhm.
So yeah, I'm going with her.
Alright. What do we got
Yeah.
next,
So
Steven?
next category, best audio design. And the nominees are Deathloop, Forza Horizon 5, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, and Returnal. Alex, what are your thoughts?
I don't have much to contribute to this because I don't know shit about audio design. Um, I feel like, especially with anything that was played on the PS5, if you did not have the Pulse wireless headset to play with it, it's hard to judge the scale of the quality, I should say. Because I mean, yeah, you can play through your TV speakers, but and I mean, and that could sound great, but the game can only sound as good as the device you have outputting. At the end of the
Mhm.
day, um, in my opinion. So I had to if I had to pick anything, I guess Forza, just because the sounds of the cars, it is not only accurate, but it's satisfying, I should say.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm the kind of guy like, hey, for instance, I bought a car. First thing I asked the guy to do was rev the engine. I want to hear it. I want to know how it sounds. Seriously, because I mean, not only that tells you kind of the health of the
I
car.
want to
Because like,
listen to a purr.
And pretty much, because and it's like if you rev a car, right? If I'm going to buy a car and you rev it and it sounds like absolute horse shit, probably don't want to buy that car because there's probably
Yeah,
something wrong with it. So that's why I ask. But you hearing that and playing a game is satisfying. One of my favorite things of racing games is just going down a long stretch and just listening to the shifting of the gears as the engine.
yeah.
It's awesome. I love it. I love it.
That was a beautiful rendition, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you. I am a turbo engine incarnate.
So yeah, Forza is my prediction to win as well in this category. Just historically speaking, they've done a pretty good job representing the cars, like realistically, I suppose.
Mhm.
So yeah, Forza Horizon is my prediction. However, my personal pick is Returnal, and the reason why is they're actually doing some interesting things with 3D sound for Returnal. Uh, so not only do you have like rain effects and things like that where you can hear the raindrops around you, but there's verticality to the level design in Returnal. And I've heard stories of people playing the game and actually having the sound design help them in enemy placement where they can't see an enemy, and actually help them dodge different attacks and things like that. And that's always cool to hear.
Mhm.
So just based on that, Returnal gets my personal pick, but I still think Forza Horizon is going to end up winning this category.
All right.
So yeah.
Well, Steven, we're at a minute 50 or an hour 51 minutes. Sorry. Let's keep the people. Let's respect their time, I guess. And I'm tired. Holy
This is
shit.
fine. So
Mhm.
the video will just go onto YouTube, and then we can split the audio up if we need to or whatever. But yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there. We've only got a handful more categories.
Holy shit.
Next
Seriously?
category. Yeah, we're almost done.
I don't remember voting this much, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a decent amount of categories, but yeah. So next category is best score and music. Um, so the nominees are The Artful Escape, Cyberpunk 2077, Deathloop, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Near Replicant version 1.22474487139.
Jesus Christ.
1389. Sorry.
Ugh. Personal picks got to go to Guardians. That soundtrack, honestly, I like the soundtrack in this one more than like than what I heard in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Oh, damn.
So I liked it more than the sequel to the movie. The first movie
Okay.
still forever holds a special place in my heart with that soundtrack. But no, this soundtrack's great. I mean, "Take on Me" by Aha. The moment I saw that, I'm like,
Which
"Oh,
version?
okay." What do you mean? It's by
Which
Aha. What do
version?
you mean? What do you mean?
Is this
Which
the
version?
acoustic version or is this the
No,
original version?
it's the original version. Why would you put
Okay.
that?
All
Why
right.
would you put the acoustic version in there?
I'm just
No one,
saying
no one talks about the
that game
acoustic
now has a
version.
precedent in video games. Just saying.
No one talks about the acoustic version of "Take on
Okay.
Me" by Aha.
I do. I talk about the acoustic version.
Nobody talks about the acoustic version of "Take on Me" by Aha.
You call me a
Um,
nobody?
Nobody.
Nobody.
No. I think that would be the game I love to win, but again, a soundtrack does not make a score. I think at the end of the day, the score will go to hold on. What was it? There was another game.
uh, so it's Artful Escape, Cyberpunk 2077, Deathloop, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Near.
Deathloop. Sorry. There we go. I feel like the score
Okay.
to that game just because it carries the character and the vibe of the game.
Okay.
I feel like
Mhm.
the music sets the tone very, very well for that game. So I imagine that'll take the win.
Okay. So this one, my personal pick and my prediction is the same, and it's Near Replicant. Uh, Near as a series has, I mean, the musical score has been beloved since the beginning. It's one of the high marks for the series, in a series that is loved all around, I guess, in multiple categories. And people still say that it's one of, if not the best video game soundtrack, which is pretty astounding. Video games have
Mhm.
really awesome music. With Near Replicant, they went in and they didn't just like remaster and rework certain pre-existing songs, but they actually had new versions of them created by different artists. So it's really a revitalized soundtrack where the original versions are still there, but then also with new versions. So yeah, it's just an awesome soundtrack made even more awesome and more diverse, which is always cool. So that gets my pick on both sides.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, next category is best art direction. And hold on, I accidentally clicked the wrong category. God damn it. Okay, best art direction. The nominees are The Artful Escape, Deathloop, Kano Bridge of Spirits, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Alex, take it away.
Honestly, so I think personal and prediction, Psychonauts 2.
All right.
The game had a lot going on for it with just the different locales you'd visit and the different mines you jump into. Nothing was the same. I mean, I think the first world alone, the first mine you jump into, the moment you start the game, gets you into a feel where it's just like, I mean, there's a
Teeth.
game, the teeth, yeah. I mean, it's like made me feel uncomfortable, which I wasn't expecting, and I was just like, good God Almighty, like, I do not like this. This is
I'm surprised that wasn't up for any of the sound stuff.
there wasn't a whole lot of sound behind it. That
Yeah,
didn't
but
play
some of
too much
those
of a
sound effects
factor.
with the teeth level in particular were
But that was it though.
a bit
That
grueling.
no, that was probably the only thing that I would say sound wise in that game that was crazy.
All right. Well, that's
But
the only section of the game that I played, so.
but yeah, no, the game itself. I mean, the different locales, the different kinds of mines you jumped into, so much fun. Uh, all very inspired. So
All right. I would not be upset if Psychonauts 2 won. I think it would be very well deserved.
mhm.
However, my personal and prediction is going to be Kena Bridge of Spirits. Uh, just because across the board, the only thing really, well, not the only thing, but the big thing that people talk about with this game is the art direction. How absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous it looks. How like Pixar level the animation is, the visual style of the world. It's like next caliber. And this is again the debut game for a very small studio that has never made a game before,
Yeah,
and it is blowing people away. So yeah, I think I I just have a feeling that Kano's going to win, but we'll see.
we shall
Uh,
see.
so next category, we're in the top three categories. So next
All right.
category is best narrative. So the nominees are Deathloop, It Takes Two, Life is Strange: True Colors, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Psychonauts 2.
Um, so personal pick on this Psychonauts 2. It was a game
Okay.
where I had a hard time predicting what was going to happen in that game. It was very much kept me on my toes with certain things. A lot of fun, and it explores the guilt of characters and being able to own up and grow past those things, but in a
Okay.
fun and enthralling way that doesn't beat you over the head with it. I appreciate the subtlety in games like that, where it can tell a message and do this thing, but it is not what makes the game, um, or the story for that matter. So I think that was good, but I think the win will go to let's see, there's Guardians, Deathloop, Psychonauts.
Life is Strange, It Takes Two.
I think the win will go to It Takes Two because
Really?
that yeah, I think that game is built well, the co-op aspect is a big thing. Uh, the development team, I can't never think of the studio's name, but their games, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons and A Way Out, are built the biggest thing about that while co-op is the narrative it drives.
Mhm.
And I think It Takes Two is no different. So, and they've been nominated for so many different categories, but if there's one, I feel like they walk away with the win on this one. It's best narrative.
Interesting. So my personal pick for this one is Life is Strange.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, that game is almost entirely narrative. Uh, And again, they're really bumping up the level of quality when it comes to the writing and the presentation with this game. And the big thing that I've heard for this new Life is Strange game is how actually not cringy it is and how actually relatable it is. And Life is Strange has always had compelling stories, but sometimes it's kind of awkward in the dialogue department.
Mhm.
And from what I hear with this one, that's no longer an issue. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Um, it's also the main character is a little bit older, so they're less cringy as a human as well.
that's fair.
So
That
that
plays a
probably
factor.
helps. But that's my personal pick. However, my prediction to win kind of came out of left field, but I'm going Guardians of the Galaxy. Uh,
Really?
yeah, a lot of people are really talking about this game's narrative, and they're surprised by how much it's impacting them and how emotionally invested they are in these characters. Uh, Guardians of the Galaxy is a game about friendship, and it is being spoken about on the same level as games like Mass Effect, and like that's kind of awesome.
I
Uh,
so I as someone playing Guardians, I see it, but it's not like you're not building those bonds yourself. It's not a choose your own narrative where you get to pick. There's no role playing aspect to this. You
mhm.
get to choose some certain things like dialogue options, yeah, but it's an illusion of choice. It doesn't affect the overall story or direction the game's gonna go in. Um,
Yeah, but this category
so
is
so
not
I find
about
that interesting.
interactivity; it's about story.
I know, that's what I'm saying when people
So
compare it to the level of Mass Effect is what I'm
yeah.
speaking to. That
Well, I
blows
think
my
it's just
mind
like
that
the
it's
camaraderie between the group of characters and things.
yeah.
They're comparing to certain like scenes in Mass Effect where it's like groups of people going into a thing together after building these relationships, and they feel that same kind of bless you,
Thank you.
and they feel like that same kind of camaraderie with these characters in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hmm,
Trip Fantasy writes
interesting.
in the chat, and Trip Fantasy says the characters never stop talking in Guardians.
That is
Uh,
true. There's constant dialogue. There's never a quiet moment in that game.
uh,
A lot of
and
banter.
I think isn't it the same with the movies though? Correct me if I'm wrong, but
That's true. I mean, it does a good job. I mean, that's the Guardians. The concept of them is a ragtag team of heroes. So it's very much you know you get the best part about that story is the ensemble. So
yep. So next category. This is the penultimate category. Best game direction. The nominees are Deathloop, It Takes Two, Returnal, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. What are your thoughts, Alex?
personal pick again, direction, Psychonauts 2, just again for the reasons I stated before. But I
Mhm.
think it's gonna go to Deathloop.
Okay.
Just because it's done in a style we haven't seen done in a video game and pull it off as well as it did. Uh,
Okay.
we see that concept, that theme, constantly thrown out there because it's popular, right? But it doesn't always work well. If anything, 9 times out of 10, if it's not done in a movie, it falls flat pretty fucking hard. So,
Yeah. I can appreciate that answer. I was actually torn between uh, two different games for this one, but both my personal pick and my prediction is It Takes Two. Uh,
mm,
just because on a game design level, for a co-op centric game, again, It Takes Two is just so full of ideas, and from what I hear, not a single one of them is a miss, and that's something kind of rare for a game. And as much as I hate to say it, even with as perfect as Astrobot is, it still had like small little sections where I was like, not really feeling this. But across the board, people who play It Takes Two, they say, wow, every time they introduce a new idea, it's compelling, it's interesting, it's fun. And then you blink and it's different. And it's
mm,
a long game. So I think that that's impressive. And that's a testament to not just great game design, but also great leadership on the development side of things. Um, I was torn between that and Psychonauts 2, actually.
mm.
But my I feel like It Takes Two kind of wins out in the end. Um, But yeah, that's how I feel about that.
About that.
So we're on to the big boy.
The biggin.
You ready? You ready
Hit me
for the
with the big
big
boy.
All right, game of the year. Here we go. The nominees are Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. How do you feel?
I would like to see Ratchet and Clank win it. They're my personal pick.
Really?
It's gonna go to Deathloop.
Okay. You say it with such confidence.
Deathloop is, out of everything on there, if we're talking game of the year, it's the most critically acclaimed game in that list, right? And it has been especially considering where the game launched, and it was to a point where it was overbearing to the buildup because it was mentioned in every fucking state of play, and then had its own state of play, and it was constant coming. Like there was just constant talk about it. It was
Mhm.
nonstop. You were beaten over the head with it. And then it came out, and it's like, I don't mind that. This is a solid fucking game in every aspect it does.
Yeah.
Arcane Studio, and it's not. I think another big thing it has going for it is that it's a new IP. It
Yeah.
is not a sequel, right? It's not a Ratchet and Clank. It's not Resident Evil. It's not Metroid. This is a brand new fucking IP, and it's hanging out there with the best of them. So yeah.
Okay. That's a good point. Um yeah, someone in the chat seems like they don't agree. I'd like for them to share their pick. Um and maybe the reasoning behind their choice. But for me, game of the year, for my personal pick, I was very torn uh, between Ratchet and Clank and It Takes Two, uh,
Mhm, mhm.
because Ratchet and Clank, it's the game that I've bitched about for the longest, and I finally played it. It was the first game I played on the PS5, so it's always going to have like a special place in my heart for that. Um, Also, it was a great and polished game. Um,
Mhm.
but then also, It Takes Two is just a consistently surprising game, full of new and fresh ideas. And there aren't really any games like it, really. And so I was kind of torn between those two for my personal. I couldn't choose between them. Uh, However, the one that I predict to win, I'm thinking it's going to be Psychonauts 2, personally.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that it achieves everything that it needed to achieve as a sequel. It looks beautiful. It plays well. It's fun and funny. It's charming. It also has matured
Oh
quite a
yeah.
lot as a game.
Mhm.
Now, granted, it's been a long time since the first Psychonauts, but also it's been a long time since the first Psychonauts. So uh, there's a lot of growth that Double Fine has done as a studio, and as developers over there, and uh, I think consistently across the board, I don't think a single person is disappointed in Psychonauts 2, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of the surprise uh, game. Like, not that anyone thought that it would be bad, but it it still managed to live up to expectations after so long. And for a game that means so much to so many people, I think that I think that's a big statement, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so there we have it.
All right. Ladies and gents, you've heard it here first. Our predictions and picks for the Game Awards. Be sure to catch it on December 9th. And be sure to check in every Friday at 10 p.m. on Twitch for your newest episode of Dual Senses, a PlayStation podcast where we give you our 2 cents on all things PlayStation. If you're a fan of the show, head on over to www.mtfproductions.com/donate, where you can donate as little as $1 to help contribute and help the show grow. But until then, we'll see you next time.
And see you later. Thank you. Love, love, love.
Bye.